Y'all want a tour? Come on, let's go for a tour. People didn't know you inspired me. You got an exclusive interview. Gracious and eternal God, we thank you for the moment. We thank you for the hour. God, we thank you for this man that you have sent to me, who had an interest in sharing what you have done. Oh, gracious and merciful God, we thank you for all that you have done and all that you are doing. And God, we ask that as we walk this holy ground, that your will be done according to your will and your way, God, that you touch right now, and that the words that come out of our mouth, as they are spread all over the world, God, that it's for your will and your will only. God, we ask that everyone that hears what you have to say through my voice, God, that is delivered, even to the haters that are going to hear this message, that you turn their thoughts around, that what I've done here through the power of you and you only to rebuild our city, that God, that you touch everyone all the way from the hills, Father, all the way back down to Detroit. We thank you for the moment. We thank you for the hour, what has been done. God, cover this man in this interview as you have continued to cover me through this journey. In the matchless name of your son, Father, we say thank you and amen.
Amen.
We've introduced God. Now we can go ahead with the interview.
We're here with Charles Brooks. We're here at the Detroit Castle that's been trending, and we're going to get a little backstory and a closer look at everything and find out who Mr. Brooks actually is, what motivated him or inspired him to build this beautiful home, and just more about his story and what's motivating him also to want to rebuild the city of Detroit.
First and foremost, I appreciate the introduction and the great things that you said, but I got to give respect where respect is due. Let me flip the script a little bit. I need you to introduce yourself, how you got to know me, how our relationship established, and how you ended up in uncharted territory right now, how you are inside the gate. Okay. I need you to say that.
All right. Well, I'm Roderick Reynolds. Some of you know me, some of you don't, but I'm no stranger to the media. I've been going viral on social media, and I've had a lot of situations transpire in my life which caught a lot of attention in the public eye. I met Mr. Brooks doing a job a couple houses down from his home. Once I finished that job, I came down here, and Mr. Brooks was actually outside, and we had a brief conversation, and he gave me one of his cars, and I just was telling him I just couldn't believe that he was that inspired and believed in Detroit that much to build something like this here. That means he really believed that Detroit has some worth. Because I was thinking, this man crazy. Like, who is he? Why would you do a thing like this? He told me if I ever needed anything to give him a call. And we're going to fast forward a little bit. I was very motivated by what he was doing here. So myself, I found a piece of property, a few blocks down from here on Dickerson, which I purchased because now I became inspired from Mr. Brooks. And I'm like, oh, if he doing it, he coming back to the city and he building something like this, the city got to be worth something. So it motivated me, inspired me to come back to the city. So I went on land bank and I found a house on Dickerson. And that's a whole nother story from there. But Mr. Brooks offered his hand and help out to me at that home and that project, and we did do some business. Him, his wife, and his son came down and helped me, and it was actually at nighttime. They came down with bobcats and helped me remove some debris that the city was threatening to give me some hefty fines for, lead paint, and he helped me safely get it removed, and he was very fair on the price. This is when I learned that he's actually a very genuine and fair guy, and he really just wants to help.
Things that we have to understand. I thank God that he blessed me with you. That's first and foremost, as with so many others in the city of Detroit and around the world. As we were preparing for this interview, something happened, and unbeknownst to you, but it happens all the time to me. And people are misinformed. They don't know what's going on here. They think that I got a huge mansion here. They think that there's something going on here that's not. And all people see is the big, beautiful home. So the young lady was out there recording. She's been recording the whole time that you were getting set up. And so I thought she was with you when it came out and she's recording, but I could see from across the street that she was really into it. So she got ready to pull off and I said, hey, young lady, can you come in right quick? And I say, well, you recorded? She's like, yeah. It's all been all on social media and everything. And I had to come and see it for myself. I say, but what did you see? She said, you got a big, beautiful home. She says, he has a big, beautiful home and it's beautiful. And I just wanted to come and see it. And she was recording it. So I say, that's why people are misinformed. You just recorded someone's home and like, wow. I say, but would you go do that in Grosse Pointe? Would you go do that in Bloomfield Hills? Would you go do? And she said, no, but it's been all on social media. I say, but what do you know about this story? She say, I don't know anything. It's just pretty much, I just wanted to record it because everybody else is doing it. Mm-hmm. I say, well, guess what? I'm the man that built this. I'm the owner. Wow. And she was speechless. And I say, this is a divine moment from God. I pray about everything that I do. The only reason you got this interview is I had to pray about it. Mm-hmm. Because to get behind those gates is very, very serious and it's critical. So I don't invite everybody to my home, but the world has shared this. Mm-hmm. But actually it's been shared over 100 million times since last week. 99% of what's been shared, well, 100% pretty much, because I put it on my page, but I'm sharing what other people have shared of my stuff. However, 99.99% of what has been shared has not been told because people are misinformed. They don't even know what's going on here. Mm-hmm. And just like the young lady, here's another one that's going to get shared and they don't know what's going on. But I told her, I said, where you live at? She said, I live in Detroit. And so I said, do you know wherever you live at in Detroit, what has been done here can help your neighborhood? He said, oh, is that right? I said, so what I want you to do, I'm not mad. You can still share it, but I want you connect with me on Facebook so you can get the whole story. And that way, when you share it, people are not asking questions about where is this at or where is that at or saying that this is in a certain land or a different state or whatnot. And ask Alexa everything. Mm-hmm. But there's going to come a day and time that you're going to be able to ask Alexa, where's the castle at? And she's going to give you my address. People don't even know where it's at, but they know the place. Mm-hmm. But nobody really knows the story. You think this man just built a big old house in here. They think what I've done here has actually, it depends on how you look at it. Some say it's beautiful, some say it's ugly, some say it's nice, but everybody's sharing it. People are misinformed. Mm-hmm. If you had the actual information from the source, mm-hmm. then at that point, you could really accurately report. Mm-hmm. So you got an exclusive interview. So what you're going to be able to accurately report because you're right here. You're in here. So what I want to do, I want to share the story so we can accurately do this thing. Okay. Mm-hmm. Radio 2714. And then we can accurately report. Locate my son and have him to bring me the master copy of my book. Hey, we on there.
Son, introduce yourself.
I'm Charlie Edward Brooks, aka CJN. I'm the son of Charles E. Brooks Jr.
How does it feel living here at this castle compound? Do all your friends talk about it? Do they notice it's your dad's house? You're in your dad's home?
Yeah, well, it started when I was in school and we would pull up in the business trucks or whatever, and my house would be on the front of it, and nobody really paid attention to it. They was thinking it was, project or whatever. It's more and more of I start getting dropped off in the trucks more, and people would see it on the news, and my dad would be on the news, and people would be like, okay, and I putting two and two together, and the rest was history. So
did it bring you popularity? Would people think you could have parties here and be like, hey man, see if your dad will let us turn up at the crib and homecoming or whatever?
Yeah, I get that all the time, but it's really not party land for that. It's really a sacred ground. And
so how tough was it for you growing up having a pastor as a dad? Were you held to different standards? Like, did you feel like you had to be different than other kids?
I mean, yeah, that was a conversation, but my dad is more than just a pastor, and he's a man of God per se, and I feel like I have a following his footsteps in a way. So I hold myself to a higher standard.
That's what's up. This business, are you the only son, or you got other brothers?
I got 7 other siblings.
Oh, 7 other siblings.
Yeah, one of my brothers that passed. That's really who
Sorry
I
to hear
keep
that.
appreciate it, but I keep that in mind as we keep that in mind as we on this journey, and
This is generational wealth to come for years and years and years and years. Do you look forward to this being passed down to you with the business, and do you get out and do any construction work?
yeah, well, behind the scenes pictures and stuff will end up coming out, and I have my hand in a lot of these bricks around here, and
Oh yeah.
I put the frame most of some of the garages, and he'll tell you,
So
but
you've grown to learn the trade, and
yeah,
you're good with it.
I think
I see you shining. I see you shining. So I know Pops got you out here making your own money. I know he ain't just giving it to you. So I'm sure you getting out here and you is having your hand in these bricks. And I mean, that's what this is all about. It's all motivational, and we kind of like want to motivate the youth, especially the youth, the black kids of Detroit, the young men who are misguided. This is a whole inspiration to everybody, telling you, like, on the east side of Detroit. And I would have never thought to even be living in Detroit was a thought, the way things have been going. But seeing something like this kind of make you think like, oh man, what if I did move some of those abandoned houses out the way and make me my own compound for the family? It's much more affordable to live in our city. We're relatable to the people around, so we're comfortable here. So I think it's a good thing that you're doing with inspiring people to want to get the vision. Like, this make me want to come back to the city. Like, and that's why I bought that house over there on Dickerson, because I'm like, oh man, if I can be at least close to the castle, I mean, I'm good. So I really like that. And it was good to meet you.
one more thing I want to say is, growing up, everybody have like a superhero or like a character they looked up to that did something like that's like unreal that they never seen before. So like they take to that character and want to be like them and have superpowers like them. And I feel that way about this guy right here. And I in my mind, I think I had a pair of work boots since the day I came out the womb. And growing up watching him, and when I was old enough to actually work with him, and because it's a lot. I went through a lot with my dad. I seen a lot with my dad, and he went through a lot of things in this book right here that people don't come back from. And seeing that as a living testimony is like the sky was the limit for me. And seeing him teaching me things that I had the blessing to really not go to school for. Basically, like this is my own personal teacher, and having that blessing that mean a lot to me.
That's
And
good.
I, speaking for myself, I've rehabbed a lot of houses that we still reap the benefits from to this day. And I have rental properties that I go and look at the work I done 6-7 years ago, and it's like, wow. And learning that from my dad and having that ability and those skills, learning from my dad, it's a blessing. And
That's deep, man. That's deep. I appreciate you giving your dad his flowers. A lot of people not fortunate enough to have a father, and for you to have one that's doing amazing things, like you said, it's like watching a superhero at work. I always say to my kids, look at me as a superhero, because when they ask, I just deliver. Waking up to this and knowing that your dad built it, like, that's a surreal experience. It's got to make you proud. This is just a legacy to leave. I'm glad that you taking the footsteps of your dad versus following what you see on TV and the internet. Because a lot of guys that have great parents, just like yourself, still choose to go the wrong route. When you come from Detroit, you sometimes you become a product of your environment, regardless of good parents. Your friends bad, they toting guns, and they think that life is about murder, and, selling drugs. And it's really not about that. That's all a facade. That's entertainment, and it's hard for some young guys to separate that from reality. And I'm glad that you're able to see, like, man, my dad could have all that same stuff these guys got, and he worked. I like that my kids see me working, because they not they don't misunderstand the things that I got. They know that I got from working. So it don't matter what they see on the internet. They see guys with chains and money and, oh, they sold drugs together. Well, my dad got it from working, just like your dad got this stuff from working with his bare hands. So it's good, and it's important to have somebody, a leader like that in your family, in your life. And I'm glad that he's doing that for you, and I'm glad that Charles is doing it to the community. A lot of people look up to Charles that he don't even know. A lot of people don't even know his story, don't know the backstory. They just know the house. They see the house. For all they know, he's just some rich guy that don't care nothing about the city and just want to flush everybody out. Oh, he's here and taxes are going to go up and we're going to lose our houses and, all this jazz. But when I see Charles, I see a visionary. I see a man with a plan. He could have did this anywhere. They got land out in the country, acres, 30,000. He could have built this anywhere if he wanted to. But the fact that he came and he did it here in his roots is unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. And I commend you to the world. I commend you here. I commend you, to everybody. This is great. It's a good journey for people to see, especially our youth, our young black families we have here. And everybody want to leave and run and go to somebody else's hood. It's all the same. Taking the money from here and going and running to these other cities. Every city, everywhere got a hood. Why not rebuild ours?
Can I help you out? Since you're on that subject, something about people deal with death and they can't come back anymore. I want you to know that I built this through everything that you could ever imagine. But I kept on pressing. For starters, my son already spoke about it. He still has 7 siblings, but he spoke about my deceased son, his brother. I built that through this. There are videos. Matter of fact, there was one that was just shared yesterday that has over 1 million views. The guy didn't pick up the phone and call me and say, hey, what's your story? He just picked something up and created his own. He's got a timeline on there.
Oh, I've seen that.
He's got a timeline on there. He's even got it on there where something happened during this period of time. We were worried about this. But if he would have picked up that phone and called me, I would have been able to help him fill in that timeline. And that's why, once again, people are misinformed. And if you look at all of the comments on there, some of those people know me personally, and they was like, no, this is the story. And so people are trying to write the story. But if he would have collaborated with me, with the source, he would have been able to put something together more accurate, because I'd have said, I don't want that portion in there, because that was a time in my life. I was in the process of burying my son. And people don't understand. There's a trademark and a copyright on here, but I haven't, I'm not in for it. I could care less. But if you would have contacted me, we would have talked about it and say, I don't want that portion shown. Because when I seen that, all I could do is look at the video. And that was the time I was in the process of burying my son. Then he's got another gap in there. Oh, something happened here. We're worried. And I want him to keep the video up. I don't want to take him down. But if you would have collaborated with me, there's another period in there where they show all of the overgrown weeds and stuff. I buried my mother. There's another period in there that I buried my father.
Wow.
There's another period in there that I buried my other father. But if you don't know the story, you're going to just run with it. But I continued to build through that process because God had my back. You see, they see all of the glory, but they really don't know my story.
100%.
But if you connect with the source, like I'm connected with the source, like he released it to me, I can release part of the blueprint to you. We can't go back and snatch those videos back out of the atmosphere. It's out there. It's bad. I don't broadcast my life. I'm a very private person, but we're well protected. I'm a very private person. They judge a book by its cover. But again, they don't know the story. So let me just share with you. And then we're going to get on with the interview. I'm going to flip something over. I just want to read something in here. I'm reading part of the blueprint. So I want you to pay very close attention because everybody's judging a book by its cover. Everybody's judging a book by its cover. So this is the book, really. Let's act like this don't exist. And we're going to come back to this. Charlie, hold the book. Y'all want a tour? Come on, let's go for a tour. You talking about giving me flowers. Mm-hmm. Man, and this is something that I never shared with you. Okay. Many years ago, mm-hmm. I called you because I wanted to do something that's been a dream for me for a long time. Okay. And I called you and asked you something because I knew that you had I thought you had a Rolls Royce. Okay. But you said, no, I got the Bentley. But it was just on the same scale. But I called you. You remember?
I remember.
I didn't tell you why I called you.
I remember.
But I wanted to know. I say this, or they say that. I say this, that, and say. And so but you said you went a step further. You sent me a whole letter. You remember? I said, for real? But then he closed it out. This guy's nuts. He say, your money long. You'll be able to ride it. You can handle it. Don't worry about none of what I just said. Don't worry about none of what I just said. You can handle it. You this is dropping a bucket for you. I said, okay, thanks. What I ended up doing, to make a long story short, I don't want to take up too much of your time. Mm-hmm. I took that money, okay, the little money that I did have, and I went and bought a whole community on the other side.
Oh, okay.
Down there in the 48205.
Okay.
Blocks and blocks of houses that people had walked away from. You remember when Charlie talked about the neighborhood that he goes back to and can look at the work that he did? Mm-hmm. This young man right here, from the womb, his mother, we worked this game together. She was pregnant in the womb. He was in the womb. So somebody said about he had boots. He was born with work boots. He was actually born in the womb. Mama was out there working. January 22nd, 2002, we were out pouring concrete. And it was 8 degrees. And his mama was out there. She was pregnant with him. And he was born in May. He was in the womb. And she was out there rolling with us. Working. He was already being nurtured in the womb for what was to come. So he jumped out. He come out the womb with work boots on. So instead of me buying that Rolls Royce Phantom so I can floss and boss, I ended up going to buy a community. And you know why I bought that community? Because of you. I seen what you were writing, but then you turned around and told me, man, this thing got a lot of issues. The car didn't have issues, but it's got a lot of upkeep. Thanks. I said, man, I ain't trying to do all that, And, I said, I'm going to do something. So I prayed about it, and that led me to go down there into the 48205 where people had walked away. Beautiful houses. They weren't brand new. These were older homes. They walked away from pretty much a whole neighborhood.
Can I catch you off? Can I tell you something about that Bentley? That was my dream car, right? Dream car. I waited my whole life to buy a Bentley. And I bought one, right? But when I bought it, guess what it meant? Nothing. It meant nothing. Like, all the money in the world can't buy happiness, And during that time in my life, I was just spending money because I had went through a tragic experience and it was the only thing that made me feel good at the time. So I'm spending up all this money, looking good, flossing, just for the end to be having all these things and not be happy. I'd end up selling my Bentley, Suburban Motors in Troy or wherever it's at. right, for 80,000.
Charlie can tell you the address. He can tell you the address.
I'm sure suburban auto collection.
Yeah, suburban auto collection.
I sold it for 80,000 because I still had a bigger dream, and I bought another house on Dickerson, right? Mm-hmm. Because you remember the first one they burned down,
right? The one we worked on,
correct. So I come back because I'm like, my mission isn't complete, right? I rode past your house again. I got back inspired. I'm like, man, I don't need none of this stuff. Sold the Bentley, sold my jewelry, so just sold a lot of collateral that I was worth anything. You know what I'm saying? And I bought the house on Dickerson, bought it. I was all pumped up, and I started spending the money, and you know, I just was so inspired by everything, and it brought me back to the neighborhood again. But I still was going through a lot of things. I didn't have my mental all the way clear to be able to complete that mission that I set upon. So I ended up spending a lot of money on the house and getting it pretty much up to where it needed to be. And I ended up selling it to some contractors. And I think it may be finished, or they're over there finishing it up now. But I just wanted to share that with you. Like, just for people in general, people think, oh, Roderick getting all that money. He got all that money. He's great. You know, that money destroyed my life. Do you hear me? That money was the worst thing that could ever happen, you know, because it really changed people around me, and it changed me too, because everything just happened so fast, and I never seen nothing of that magnitude happen to anybody, let alone myself, you know. So it was all fun and games for everybody, you know, sitting back watching and thinking that I just was living the best life. Man, I lost my mind. That money didn't mean anything. You come back from some people never come back from. Do a little research on mental health and, you know, manic episodes, bipolar episodes, and all that type of stuff. I went through that. And I know people who go through that and never go back normal, you know. So that's something that I had to overcome. I took a lot of time to myself, isolating, and, you know, just never be confused about money and what it can do for you. Yes, it can make your life easier when it comes to financials, but your mental, that's all God's work, and that's all something that you have to have control over. Money ain't gonna fix that. Once that money run out, then you right back in the same boat. Yeah, you happy while you spending it. You happy while you can able to move around and do what you want to do. But when that money run out, it ain't nobody but you and God. And I'm gonna tell you something about God. When you get that money and you forget about Him, okay, well, they gave Rod $500,000. Then, you know, I'm not going to lie, I prayed for that money. I asked God for that money, and I asked Him. I sat there in front of the house as it burned down to the ground, and I said, God, I know you got something for me. I just spent everything here. Please, you know, immediately He responded. And He gave me everything that I was looking for. You know what I did? I stopped talking to Him. I'm straight now. Good looking, G. 500, I'm up, you know. You know what He did? He said, let me get that. He started taking all those things, all those distractions away from me. It brought me right back to Him where He wanted me to. You know, even the people that was around me that wasn't really for me, He removed them all out the way. He said, they don't care about, oh, you thought they cared. He was forever. He just took everything away, brought me right back to Him. And as I got closer back to Him and start back talking to Him, my life started to turn back in the direction that it was in already. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, don't get the big head and get money and forget who put you in that position, because couldn't nobody have made that happen but God. Keep asking me what happened, how did that happen so fast, 24 hours. I said, you really got to ask that question. But God, things happen to you that you can't explain. It's always God.
Even though, Roderick, you know where you're standing at?
No.
Look up. You have Breakthrough Boulevard and Streets of Gold. In a million years that you could stand at that intersection.
I did not.
It's funny, people talk about the signs in here, the street signs. I have my own street sign. Before we get into the tour, but I just wanted to bring that up because you talked about what God brought you out of, and I was talking about what God, and I see what God is doing here. But what you were talking about was a path.
Mm-hmm.
And you were on several paths, but now you're not at a crossroads, but you're at an intersection. And normally when you're at an intersection, the intersection directs east, north, west, and south. It addresses all four directions. Mm-hmm. They're not supposed to cross each other because they'll have an accident. If a vehicle is directed from that intersection, they will run into each other. But when you stand at an intersection of Breakthrough Boulevard and the Streets of Gold, let me help you out what it says in the Bible about that. That when you get your breakthrough, it's bigger than what man could ever do for you.
Right.
When you get your breakthrough, and God bless you, you said you prayed for some money and God blessed you with it, and God seen that you wasn't doing what you're supposed to do.
Let's back it up. I didn't even pray for money. I just prayed for guidance.
Prosperity, guidance.
Help me.
Help me.
I can't figure this one out, Lord. And the money is what came.
The money is what came. But see, you got to keep in mind, God knows what you need. We pray, we go to God and we ask him of what the need, the immediate need, and not knowing the proper prayer to pray. And that's why a lot of people don't understand and don't know how to pray. But when you go to God, you got to remember, God is not like me and you. If I asked you for $100 right now, you say, Chuck, I don't have it on me right now, but I know you got it in your bank account. I know I need much more than that, but it would be an insult to ask you for 1,000, wouldn't it? Because we ain't cool like that, right?
Understood.
But when you go to God and say, God, I need a little help. And when you go to God with a sincere and contrite heart, and you go in and ask him that, what ends up happening is that he knew you needed some help. He knew you needed help in your relationship. He knew you needed help in your financial status, your health, and all this that concerns you. He knew that. And what ended up happening is that when you go to a sincere contrite, he handles all of that. So you prayed for certain things, but you didn't pray for the whole package. And God said, I'm going to bless you with it. And it's found in Genesis 12, verse 2-3. It said, I'll bless those that bless me, but I'll curse those that curse me. So he blessed you, but then you turn around and you cursed him because you forgot about where it really came from. He said, well, what I'm going to do, I'm going to repo some stuff and I'm going to move some stuff. It's also found in Deuteronomy 28.
And he did.
Deuteronomy 28. Get that. Deuteronomy 28. That's one of the most profound scriptures in the Bible, where half of the scripture talks about the blessing, but the other half talks about the curse and the bad stuff. It's a scripture that I call the good, the bad, and the ugly. That's Deuteronomy 28. That we go to God and we ask him to bless us with certain things, and we on cloud nine and we doing all this and doing all that. And we riding and we profiling and we doing it, baby. We doing it, we doing the thing, but then we're not realizing that we done left God out.
Thanks.
And that's why I said you're standing at an intersection. And when God places you at an intersection, he will not cause you to collide. You understand what I'm saying? So people talked about the street signs in here. I have street signs in here because this is the streets to go. This is holy ground. That's why everybody's not allowed behind that gate. You're not, even though I got a security staff, everybody's not allowed beyond that gate. Even the security staff had to go and get a clearance to get in here. But when you get on holy ground and you come in, the street signs, the reason that they're here is because they direct me. It directs me as I walk around here. In the Bible, it says that there's an old song goes that walk around heaven. And people didn't quite understand what that meant. But you can walk around heaven while it's here on earth. And if you can feel God in your presence and where you're walking at, if you can feel it, it becomes so holy and so sanctified. That's why, man, even the media has portrayed this. If you look at every editorial, every newscast, everything, most people that have reported this have not made it this far. They have not made it this far. So the street signs, they direct me in around his blessing. So I'm reminded constantly of what God has brought me through, what God has done for me. I can't miss out. If you start from the beginning all the way to the front, all the way around here, I can't miss God's blessing. And so when he places you at that intersection, it becomes a relationship with you and him that surpasses all understanding, and nobody would quite understand. And, when you walk through here, so let me go back to about this, because I want to read some out of this book. We done had a little church in here, and some people were not prepared for this, but it's all right. It's all right. But this is God's business. I just want to share a portion in this book about judging a book by its cover, because you talked about that you were judged by your cover. They really didn't know what was up under. People didn't know you inspired me.
I'm glad to know that.
If you would have told me, say, man, it's the bomb, I would have bought that Rolls Royce, and 48205 would not be where it's at right now. So you inspired me. This book was wrote before this was done. A tour right now. They're inside here with you right now. Keep in mind that this book was wrote before this was built. And what I'm doing is I'm giving you an inside scoop. I'm telling you what I went through to build such a masterpiece. I'm sharing a blueprint, but they still don't get it. And now you are inside of something that they still don't know what it is. Mm-hmm. But I wrote this book prior to this being built. And it says, it's 4234 Lakewood. The story behind the glory, the heartache, pain, and healing before the foundation was laid. Revival of Detroit will be the melody in the heart of God that will raise up a nation of strong and vibrant cities. Brick by brick, with the God print of his divine plan, some blueprints created by man can have bad intentions from the beginning. It carries the magnet for corruption, has paid to play, has plagued our city for years. This is a model of who's getting it done in the D. Quite often, if you're not connected in and around Detroit, you are often walked over, pushed around and ignored by the who's who, and are recognized as they carry out their scheme of things. The old way of doing things.
I want to tap into some of the comments I've been getting on your home. A lot of people are, upset by it. They're saying that this is gentrification. It's going to make everybody's taxes go up, and basically you're pushing the little guys out that are around you. What do you got to say about that? Hold on.
I want to talk about well, you asked me like 4 questions. Let's talk about the harm is not here. The biggest harm is not me. The biggest harm is what the city has done to me. See, the biggest harm that takes place is they don't want me here. They didn't want me here prior to me even getting to this point. I caught hell when I had a single house. They wanted to push us out of here. So let's talk about that. And come on, we're gonna walk and talk about the harm that the people like. But if you don't know the whole story, they think that I'm the harm. I'm really not the harm. I'm the help. Okay. So when we talk about the harm, we got to talk about what God really wants the people to hear and know. But I'm not the harm. You know what? I haven't hurt my neighbors. And I'm going to talk about that too. But let's talk about the harm, and then we'll go. Radio 121, open the gate. And what they're gonna end up doing, they're gonna realize that, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. So let's talk about the harm. This is the original home right here. Look, we sat on this corner right here. This is the original home. It used to be one house here. We didn't have sidewalks. I've been here almost 30 years. We never had sidewalks. We never had curbs. All you got to do is look on the other side of the street. We never had curbs. You see this right here? See that grass right there? Mm-hmm. That's how it's been the whole time I've been here for 30 years. That's how all of this used to be. So that's the real harm that's being done by the city. This is what you all don't know. So you ask, I'm going to tell you. The real harm is when you don't have curbs and you don't have sewers. What's up, neighbor? How you doing? Everything's blessed. No complaints. The real harm is when you don't have curbs. I put in my own curbs. I put in my own sewers. These catch basins, I put these in the sewer. I'm in the city street. This belongs to the city. I put this in. If they remember, we used to keep a mound of dirt here or whatnot. And the mound of dirt was about 6 feet high, so we wouldn't, by us not having curbs, if you look across the street, you'll see that he doesn't have curbs. He doesn't have curbs. If you look over here, there's no curbs or nothing. So when it really rained, it would pour into my basement. It would pour into my basement so much that it will flood us out. I can't begin to tell you how many furnaces and hot water tanks we replaced. So again, they don't know the story, but it used to be a mound of dirt from here.
Let me ask you something. No, that was the city's problem, correct?
That was the city's problem.
Did the city ever compensate you for hot water tanks or furnaces?
They never did anything to me. The more I complained, the more they gave me blight tickets, the more that every time I come, so we really stopped complaining because I see that, why would you come and give me a blight ticket? And I just told you my basement backed up because I didn't know it was because we didn't have sewers. But what happened was when they plowed the street, when they put in a new street it had to be pretty much when we first moved here. And when they first put it in, and I'm a contractor, and I say, well, where is all of the catch basins at? Oh, we're going to come back and put them in. But what they did was they plowed over them. So we never had catch basins over here. And if you look, he don't have catch basins on his side either. They never put them in.
Gotcha.
There's no catch basins on that side of the street from Chalmers all the way. I think they never came and put one in. He catching hell over there. The more I needed help, they more or less harass you. I got more blight tickets after that because I was trying to get corrected. So they hurt you more than anything.
That's dirty.
And I'm real talk. That's what they did. So, but as we talk, we talk about all of the harm that the city does to keep us out. Well, eventually, you pack up, man. We almost had to leave here.
Really?
Yeah, we almost had to leave here. I would have to talk about it later, but I don't want to, that ain't what the interview is about. But, we almost lost this house because of the flooding or whatnot. But let me explain to you. We talked about the harm, and the people want to hear about that. But let's talk about the real harm. You asked me about something. So the real harm comes in with all of the comments or whatnot on social media and the things that are being said. They say it's ugly. They say this. They say terrible things. The things that they say, are very hateful. I mean, and hurt. But then there's some things that they say that puts my family at risk. Breaking in and doing all this, that, and the other, and saying terrible things. Oh, how many times that place been shot up? How many times, and what people are trying to fill out, how can they get in here? How can they break in? Radio 101, open the side gate. They want to get in, but one of the most hurtful things is the comments that people make about how ugly it is and the crime that they're sending over here to me. It's very pathetic how they actually do it. Mm-hmm. But one of the things that actually happened, so we're going to go in and finish your exclusive. Somebody talked about the weeds over here.
Okay. Somebody
talked about the weeds over here, and I seen the comments, and it was very hurtful. He's got a beautiful home, but why don't he cut down all of them weeds and stuff down on the Chalmers side and that abandoned house and all this, that, and the other. And people really don't know I'm actually rebuilding that house.
Okay.
I'm rebuilding this house because it was on the demo list from the city of Detroit. I'm actually rebuilding this. Okay. I'm rebuilding this as we speak.
Oh, you got scripture on that one as well.
Yeah. I'm rebuilding this one as we speak. So there was a period in my life I got sick. So this project got halted. Okay. I've been sick since November or whatever. I'm just not getting back able. But there were several comments in there about the weeds and the messed up situation. And people don't know your story, but they put the most ignorant stuff on there. I took this off the demo list, and I'm trying to rebuild this back here. But like I said, I had been sick. I'm just not getting back able to regroup and get some things done. So what ended up happening was I thank God for the haters. But that's where the real harm is being done, because really, you almost was not able to do this interview today because my office and my staff said, don't do it. Look at all these hateful comments. Mm-hmm. Look at what these people are saying about this. People are talking about, breaking in, how much security he has. That my family. My niece got on there and say, Uncle Charlie, please don't have a tour over there. Don't let them people in because they know I've been shot before. They know my story. Mm-hmm. I got shot in front of Charlie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I got shot in front of Charlie. They don't know my story. They really don't know this. I got shot in front of 3 of my children. But people are putting those hateful comments on there, and it's scaring my family, but it's scaring my staff. And they said, "Don't do it." My staff works for me.
Mm-hmm. Now, getting shot, is that something you want to elaborate on? What happened with the situation, or is that more private?
It's not private, but I don't have enough time in the interview to do it right now.
Okay.
But I'll tell you what. It's actually, I wrote about it in my book. Gotcha. But also, I'll be able to share more of that. It'll have to be another setting. But those comments are really, really hateful. So really what it does, they told me to tell you to shut down all of that stuff. Just delete all of that stuff so we can go back to living a normal life and being done with it. Mm-hmm. People don't want to see that. My niece, she's got it right there. She said, "Please, Uncle Charlie, don't have them people over there." And you say that, but here's what the caveat of the good that comes out of there. So one of the people that have supported what I'm doing here in Detroit, he knew I was under the weather. And he said, he called me early this morning and said, "I just need to know, I'm going to set this up. I just need your blessing. We're going to come over there and clear out the whole yard for you and do what needs to be done for you." That's good. I seen that hateful comment on there, and it's several of them on there. They want to know why is the weeds and all this. I know you've been sick. And we'll be over there tomorrow to start working on that and get this taken care of.
That's a blessing.
So that's the real harm. Because now you're putting stuff on there saying stuff that's really scaring my family and doing all this, that, and the other. So what if I got a beautiful home? But find out the backstory, because what I'm doing here on Lakewood is actually helping you, hater. Oh, we're not looking at the camera. Where the camera? What we're doing over here on Lakewood is actually helping you, the hater. This is for the whole city of Detroit. What this looks like, you said it's ugly. That's all well and good. So what we want to talk about is, you want to talk and walk, or you want to just walk. So what you say is ugly is actually going to help you, because this is for the whole city of Detroit. The movement that we're doing is not just on Lakewood. I'm done here. When you support the cause, you're not supporting my wallet. Mm-hmm. You're not buying this book to buy me another castle. You're not doing that. What you're doing is you're supporting so we can have a city that we're proud of and we rebuild it. And one thing that I want to touch on is what they keep talking about is this gentrification.
How do you feel about all the gentrification comments? People are saying that this home is going to raise taxes and flush out people who can't afford to live here on a fixed income, XYZ. How do you feel about that? Are they wrong with what they're saying, giving you a bad rap? Like, what's the truth behind it?
You notice I had to sit down on that one. The thing about gentrification, you have to understand, and that's why we're misinformed. Gentrification is when the wealthy move in to an impoverished town and move out. Because wealthy move in so they can bring all of their other wealthy friends and create a wealthy community. Let me help you out. For everybody that thought this was gentrification, what gentrification is and still is, it still exists. But you are misinformed again. Number one, I've been here, so I can't gentrify on Lakewood. I was already here, and I'm not wealthy. So you got it twisted. Number one, the wealthy, they move in and then they start moving all of the people out. Well, what has happened on Lakewood? Nobody has been affected by what I've done on Lakewood. Nobody has been affected by what I've done on Lakewood. So let me help you out. Let me show you what gentrification really is. So when you look at this, understand it. So what I did was I wrote a book. I was doing consulting and coaching because I am the guru, call it whatever, and they are willing to pay me a lot of money to show them how to do it. I actually retired from doing that. You want to know why? Why? If I can't sell my $28 book, I don't want you to pay me $25,000 to know how I did it. So I retired from coaching and consulting. But for my people that watch me, literally build this, and we're not mad at you, baby. And guess what? That's another part of the gentrification that's been created.
You actually gentrified it yourself because you didn't support it here. These people came in. All of the houses that have been sold on Lakewood, they not by people from here. It's not from people in my neighborhood. I told everybody to get these houses when they were $500 and $1,000. I had stopped buying. I wanted everybody to buy these houses. I sent out emails. Remember I sent one to you and told you about it, but you said that you had already moved on. And I said, no, man, that house that you was working next to down there, it's going. I said, Roderick, because they only want $1,000 for it. You said, man, I'm tied up in the sun. They just sold it for $250,000. They just sold it, and guess what? The people were not from here. The other house, $300,000. The other one, $299,000. So they're comped against themselves, but that would not affect my neighbors once again. So who did the gentrification on Lakewood? You did, because you didn't come in here and get property when it was available. And guess what? The city knows that. The city know that we're not going to work together, because why would they market those properties on the Grosse Pointe market and not allow the people in Detroit to get them? A Grosse Pointe realtor put them on the market. And guess what? I want to say this, and I'm going to get on out of here. But they were doing some development in my neighborhood, so I don't put people on blast. I'm not going to share, but they were doing some development in one of my zip codes that I've done. I'm going to leave it at that, so I'm going to let you figure it out. They did some development, and the guy that was doing the development got wind of it, and he found out who I was. And this is how we do. We create our own gentrification because we don't support each other, and we allow others to come in and move us out. So let me help you out. I was contacted by this other guy. He called and wanted to know, because I was the largest landholder in this particular neighborhood in the zip code. He commented on the Facebook, and it got back to me, and just so happened he had gave me his card, and he wanted to get in touch with me. When I returned his call, he said, Chuck, we're putting that house on the market, and we want to be able to do more, but we're having a problem. I said, oh, what's that? He said, the problem that we're having is that we can't sell the property for the $300,000 that we're trying to get. I said, what? He said, oh, okay. So I'm thinking, maybe he needs some pointers. He said, I need to know when you're going to finish the neighborhood, because you're stopping me from selling that house. What did you just say? I'm serious. I swear for God. I need to know when you're going to finish rebuilding the neighborhood so we can sell the house. He said that we can't get the $300,000 because of all of the blight, all of the abandoned houses, all of the vacant lots and everything. And the only person that's popping in the community over there in that zip code where you're at and where we're, because what you're doing is great. And once you finish, I can do it. I'm serious. I swear for God. And I told him, I said, you done lost your mind. How dare you call me? And so what he told me, he said, that's all right. You just go back over there to your little old castle over there on Lakewood. I heard it from him. But as far as us collaborating to do it, we create our own gentrification. We create it. But gentrification, and if we don't do nothing in this interview, gentrification did not happen on Lakewood because of the big castle that the black guy built over there. Got your G's mixed up, baby. It's called generational wealth. And you ain't seen nothing yet. And this is only the beginning. Chuck has been successful in business. I've had a successful business, unique construction company, from the bottom up. We built it from the ground, baby. I mean, it's, unique construction. The credit game, if you want to do a mortgage or something, I'm not into the mortgage business, but people want to buy a new home, but their credit is shot. They don't know what to do. You got all these people out here selling them these services, and all they're doing is breaking the bank with these people. You got to have somebody that you can go to that's going to show you how to win. I've already won. I appreciate everything that God has done, but it's not about me. If you really knew my story, you wouldn't say those hateful comments on there. You wouldn't be talking about how we going to break in, how we going to do this and do that, or rob his family. If anything, y'all need to be trying to hold on to your Chuck, because we don't have a Chuck here. I wish you all had a Chuck downtown. I wish you all had a Chuck in your neighborhood. Here, Charlie, my empire, this is my son. He runs part of my empire, which is really his though, but he helped build it. So I've taught him all of this. He runs this. Where do you know a 22-year-old chief executive officer and many other titles? This man, he built this garage. He helped build this. He helped build this. He helped pour this concrete. He helped level this lot out. all of the debris. Where do you see this at? This is a 22-year-old executive. You understand what I'm saying? He has nothing to gain. What if we could have other executives out here? What if we had our own Black Wall Street right here in Detroit? But this will be a different kind of Black Wall Street. It's for everybody. I'm not racist. I don't want to use the word because we have a problem when we say a certain life matters or anything. But what if we had our own Wall Street right here in Detroit where we're all together, no matter what race, creed, or color? Together we stand in unity and rebuild our city. All of them. Not just us African Americans. I'm talking about everybody. I actually done it because the city didn't want me to do it. My own city, and I don't care who sees this, my own city did not want this black man to build a doggone thing here. And I want to see people survive. Homelessness, we can combat homelessness ourselves if we help each other. Poverty, we can combat that if we help each other. Everything that's happening in the city that we got a complaint for, there's a solution for it. But guess what? Everybody named Mama got a me. It's a Me Too movement. It's about me. No, not that Me Too movement. I'm talking about it's all about me. You know what I mean? What can I do for this person so I can gain something? What can I do in my city to do a development? What am I going to gain from it?
That's how it works.
You know, and that's how it is. But I'm not a gatekeeper, and I have nothing to gain. And let me say this on record so you all don't get it twisted. The knowledge that I have and want to share with the people is priceless. I get my paycheck every day when I wake up in the morning because what God did for me that allowed me to build this, you can't write a check to me, baby.